What's up, guys and gals? It's the Tyrant here, and I have a special treat for you today. If you remember yesterday's video, I told you that I had switched bipeds, or models I should say, from the Master Chief to something else. Didn't tell you what, but today you're going to find out. I switched the Master Chief out for a Grunt. That's right, today we're going to be playing Halo Combat Evolved from the perspective of a Grunt. A few things to note here. So, if you saw yesterday's video, you know that I spawned somewhere outside the map, which is kind of strange. The reason why, and what I found out, is if you let the initial cutscene play out, then it'll spawn you in that room behind Sam, the technician guy who's up there. If you skip the cutscene, it'll spawn you in beside the Master Chief's cryotube, which I find kind of interesting. Now, of course, the grunts in the cutscenes and everything, which I think is pretty cool. So once you have control of the Grunt, obviously you can tell because of the height change, you're pretty much just waist high to the Marines. Right off the bat, I noticed some interesting things though. So when you try to walk or run, when you're walking, occasionally, even though you're constantly pressing up, or I should say forward, in my case that's the W key, occasionally it pauses, and I don't know why that is. Maybe that's just because that's how grunts are programmed in this game, where they can only go but so far, but then they have to stop. Also, if you try to go side to side, you go very, very slowly. With one exception, it seems, is when you're in combat, sometimes it'll speed up a little bit, but otherwise, it doesn't go side to side very well. And that's perfectly fine, because I don't expect to do much fighting here. I will say that one thing I noticed with the Pillar of Autumn in general is that with the Grunt, he can't duck or crouch. And I don't know if that's the reason behind this, but you can't actually go too far into this mission, because once you leave the door and you jump over the pipes and you try to go through the next door, sometimes you can make it a few steps through, but ultimately the game crashes and you get exception data. But that's no fun, right? I mean, you wanted to see at least some combat here today, so that's what we're going to do. So I decided to load up the second mission. And right out the gate, I noticed that I can't pick up any human weapons. I kind of expected that, but I wasn't really sure what would come of that. I thought it'd be kind of cool to see a Grunt holding an assault rifle. You can pick up grenades and use them, although not very efficiently. The Grunt can only toss them but so far, and I found that out the hard way. So, since we don't have any weapons, obviously I've got to run past this area with all the Covenant and with the pair of Banshees. And that's not easy, because as a Grunt, you don't have shields. And you don't have a health bar either, so you don't know how low your health is actually getting. And since you're not as fast as the Master Chief, then you kind of have to just sort of pray to RNGesus that that you don't get taken out by the Covenant. And it's happened several times. At one point, I got bashed by an elite, and I will say that the Grunt's death scream is absolutely hilarious. Makes this whole thing worth it. But with a little bit of luck and some persistency, finally I was able to get over the ledge and escape that initial group of Covenant and get to the Marines that are fighting off the other waves of Covenant. Now, I didn't really know what to expect here, to be honest with you. I didn't know if the Marines were going to shoot at me, because the Covenant are shooting at me, which I didn't expect. I honestly thought I'd be on Team Covenant for this. And I'm sure with some mods, I could probably fix it so that that's certainly the case. But in this particular instance, the Covenant still see me as a threat, and the Marines just ignore me completely, or treat me as though I were the Master Chief, which I think is absolutely hilarious. But it's around this area that I found out that I can, in fact, pick up Covenant weapons, which doesn't surprise me to a point, but after I couldn't pick up any human weapons, I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to pick up any Covenant weapons either. Here, you can still pick up Covenant weapons. What's interesting is that not only can you pick up the plasma pistol and the needler, but you can also pick up the plasma rifle. What's fun about that is, as far as I know, in Combat Evolved, there are no Grunts wielding plasma rifles. They are only holding plasma pistols and needlers. But it's an interesting perspective to see it this way, and it's also, if you look at the projectiles, they're still shooting from above my head, so it's as if it's still doing it from standard Master Chief eye level rather than my own. But with some practice, I was actually able to do some pretty fair amount of damage to the Covenant here. Flipyap the Terrible. Oh, so this is pretty fun playing from the perspective of a Grunt, but I have to admit I'm relying on my Marines a lot here. Again, I don't know if the health system for Grunts works similarly to the way Master Chief's health system works in Halo 2 and Halo 3, where it recharges over time. or if the damage you take is permanent. And I think it's the latter, because I've been in a position before where I got shot by a random needle and just keeled over. So I think the Grunt doesn't last very long, so it's not a very practical creature to play in campaign, but it is fun seeing it from their perspective. What I learned from here, though, is this is pretty much where the mission stops, because they want you to get in a Warthog, but the Grunt can't drive a Warthog, the Grunt can't fly a Banshee, the Grunt can't drive a tank or anything like that. The only vehicle that I'm aware of that a Grunt can use is a Ghost. And that's something that we might try on a different day, but for now, this is what it's like to play a Grunt in Halo Combat Evolved, and I'm curious to see what you guys thought about it, or if there are any other creatures that you want me to play in this game. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, or please feel free to hit me up on Twitter, at MythicTyrant. A link to my Twitter feed can be found in the description below, and I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy day to sit down and watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I hope you'll consider subscribing for more great content right here on MythicTyrant.com. Thank you guys and gals so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll catch you all right back here next time. And as always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.